An ex-Navy admiral by the name of Tim Galorder has just come out to expose alien life and the fact that we are actually in contact with aliens, and he has also called out for disclosure to the general public about our findings and what we know. And this is absolutely mind-blowing, and he did this in a recent News Nation interview. Now, Tim Galorder is a man who's been around for a very long time and is very well known within the UFO space for whistleblowing huge things, from underwater UFO bases to now trying to tell people that actually we are in cahoots with some form of alien civilization. Now, let's cast your minds back before we go over the new stuff. Tim Galorder, here's some of the things that he has spoken about in the past. Here is another News Nation interview here which goes, "We are not alone. Galorder on UFO studies, The Hill." Right, let's take a little look at this.
Capitol Hill, News Nation's exclusive reporting in a July 26 congressional hearing where lawmakers heard from key witnesses are leading to calls for more answers. Next guest wrote a piece for The Hill titled "UFOs Are the Story of the Century, Wake Up America." In it, he gives some recommendations for what lawmakers should do next. Joining us now, retired Rear Admiral Tim Claudette.
Galorder. Right, that's how you pronounce it. Galorder. What did I say? Gallaudet. I can't remember what I said, but it's Galorder. Right, now I know.
Former administrator of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association, CEO of Ocean STL Consulting. All right, good to see you, sir. Thank you. I just have a question. If UFOs are real, right, and there's aliens and we have them, wouldn't that sort of be the story of the world from the beginning of time rather than just the century?
Well, it's great to be here, Leland. Thanks. And absolutely, yes, it's a story of our civilization, really. And as I outlined in that op-ed, this really, from a scientific and a security standpoint, is unlike anything we've ever known. And by the way, those three very credible witnesses at the hearing, all former military officers, all with backgrounds similar to mine, they claimed, and I fully believe them, that they have evidence of this.
Now, the guys that he's obviously referencing there are David Grush and his associates, who also came forward in the congressional meetings that took place about 6, 7, 8 months ago now. So those are the people that he's referring to within this specific interview here.
Well, respectfully, they claim that they knew of evidence. I have not heard of anybody who actually has real proof so far. I've heard a lot of conjecture. I've heard a lot of I know, and there are places and there are people, but there's been nobody who's pulled out Google Maps and said, hey, here's the buildings with the aliens, or hey, here's some of the documents, even blacked out documents with the project names on them. Nothing.
Right. Well, there's two pieces, actually. One, there are observations by the pilots who are very credible witnesses and have seen things we can't explain. And then there's the one witness, David Grush, who actually has talked to people right into these programs. And I do know how these programs work, compartmented and classified access programs, special access programs, pardon me. And I have every reason to believe David, and I do know some of the folks he's spoken with. And so I've not seen the data and the material myself yet, but I do know people who have. And that's going to be coming out as Congress keeps pushing for disclosure with the draft legislation that Senator Schumer has put forward.
So obviously there, again, he's very much saying the same as what David Grush said in his original interview, or David Grush's original interview, that is, where he's stating that he knows of people that have witnessed these crafts, and he's kind of heard from, word of mouth that this is the case, and he knows people that have done it, but he himself has not actually seen it as of yet.
That's what you're pushing for, right, Rear Admiral? This is Johanna Maska. Thank you so much for joining us. One thing I always think is a lot of people were dismissing, space exploration until we explored in space. You've been at this for a long time, and you've been saying this could be the new dawn of quantum computing, and all of these different things could rewrite the galaxy. What are the potentials that people really need to see when the White House is considering how involved they are going to be in all of this research that you're saying needs to be coming forth?
Oh, yes, Johanna, that's what I did say. I thought the scientific community needs to get behind this and remove all the stigma associated with UFOs. There's real science that needs to be done that can lead to breakthroughs in our understanding of physics and our understanding of our place in the universe. We know now from this hearing and what is going to be disclosed that we are not alone. And that is just transformational in our history. And I wrote this article because I cannot believe more people aren't talking about it. But over time, Congress is acting. And so this is more and more, this is going to get out there.
Admiral, it's Mark Lauder. One of the questions I have is, are we actually watching the government slowly starting to soften the way for this kind of an announcement? I mean,
now, this is a really interesting point that this guy makes here, and actually it's a really good talking point, because this is what is believed now, is that there's not cover-ups as much anymore, though there very much is, but it's almost impossible to cover things up like it was, say, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, because of the access of social media, how instant everything is. Everyone's got access to, some form of smartphone that, you can record and upload and publish to the internet for the world to see. Once it's on the internet, it's there. So it's almost impossible now for these, leading governments to silence these people. So I think they've got no choice but to discreetly, publish these findings and, just edge it out gently to the public, so it's not like a, an information dump. I think that's also to try and stop mass hysteria to a degree, because, that is essentially what would happen if we, if all these findings came to be. There would be huge, not outrage, but it would just be insane. People would go mental with it.
I mean, I've heard, and we all know, I was old enough to remember the Cold War, we were lied to and told that if we hid under our desks, put our hands over our necks, it would protect us from nuclear fallout, because society wasn't prepared to handle what the true devastation would be.
Exactly what I was trying to say, but he just said it so much better.
And they knew that there's nothing we could do to protect ourselves. I mean, do we know, is this kind of getting society ready for the announcement?
Well, exactly, Mark. That's been happening. And in fact, a lot of the reason this has all been so covered up is because of those Cold War habits, if you will. But right now, Congress has been acting over the last 2 years, and we have legislation that was put forward to establish the Department of Defense, AARO, they call it, this All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. So the DoD has a UFO office. NASA has put forward a UAP study team. And now I've recommended to the National Academies of Science, Engineering, and Medicine to also pursue these. And it was through their Naval Studies Board. And the chair of that board, former Chief of Naval Operations Gary Roughhead, agreed and approved my leading a study team if I can get funding from the government.
All right. Good to see you, sir. Thank you very much.
Now, that's quite incredible that if, basically, if he could get funding, he could spearhead a study team and research into these topics. Kind of like what Arrow are doing, but I guess a bit more independently. So, that's pretty incredible. But that's not where it stops, as, Tim has also gone on to say a lot of things about, one huge thing in particular came out in October of last year, where he basically went on to talk about an off-California coast, which could be where an underwater UFO base is. Now, obviously, with Tim's background being in the Navy, being an admiral in the Navy, which is a very high-ranking position, his domain would have been the sea, which gives this a lot of weight. Now, this was posted by the Daily Star, so, take it with a pinch of salt. But a former US Navy admiral claims a recent discovery on the ocean floor could be the entrance to a secret underwater UFO base. Rear Admiral Tim Galorder was one of the Navy's top oceanography, I can't say that word, I'm sorry, experts during his career. He now believes that there's a, quote, lack of scientific curiosity when it comes to studying the numerous reports of unidentified flying objects apparently plunging into the sea. Now, if we remember back to the jellyfish UFO that came out from Jeremy Corbell back in January of this year, it was stated that craft that was witnessed flew across the sky and then just suddenly plummeted into the water for about 15 to 20 minutes before resurfacing again. So it's not uncommon for this to be a thing. One particular feature from a recent scan of the seabed really needs to be investigated, he believes. Tim had asked his friend, noted undersea explorer Victor Vescovo, to scan the seabed near Catalina in the wake of dozens of sightings of UAPs in the area, including the famous Nimitz encounter. Now, if you don't know about the Nimitz encounter, I really strongly urge you go and find out about that, because it's a very interesting case. Victor discovered what seemed to be a, quote, wedge on the floor. Quote, I've not been able to find a natural explanation for it, Tim said. And here is a little picture of a mysterious feature which is over a mile long. That's huge. The anomaly looks like a wedge taken out of a thing called a knoll. It's an underwater ridge basically, and a wedge from it was totally carved out and horizontally displaced by 2 kilometers. Quote, I just want to find an explanation for it, but does cause one to speculate. Is that evidence of an undersea UAP interaction with the sea floor, or even a location for undersea infrastructure where these things go? That's interesting. Now, from what I could find online, no more has really kind of surfaced about this, though just kind of speculation from the general public, which, you know, the jury's still out about it, whether it's just naturally formed or whether it's actually a UFO thing. But there's no definitive answer as to what this is right now. But moving forward to present day, a few days ago, Tim did an interview with News Nation once again, and this was I found this on my Reddit feed, and it said, retired Navy Rear Admiral and administrator of the government's lead meteorological agency, NOAA, quote, I think it's about time that we disclose that we are in contact with non-human intelligence. They have technology we don't understand and intentions we don't understand. Red flag alert. Send off the warning sirens and everything. This is terrifying, to be fair. Just to be totally frank, this is terrifying, because this literally is this man saying, yeah, we're in, you know, we've communicated with these civilizations, but we don't understand their technology, and also we don't know what their intentions are with that technology. What? No. That's not good. That's not a good thing, Tim. So this is a little snippet from the News Nation interview.
I think it's about time that we do disclose that we are in contact with non-human intelligence. That's what needs to be put out there in the public.
We are being visited by non-human intelligence with technology we really don't understand and with intentions we don't understand either. Tim Galordet. Like, if this man can just come out with statements like this, right? Does that not give you cause for concern? Because it does me. This man, who knows something that we all don't, who's in tight with David Grush, he knows the same people as David Grush. David Grush was just the one that came out about it. It probably gave people like Tim the confidence to be able to step forward and be like, yeah, this is what I also know. I also heard this, and I heard this. And it's a very powerful position to be in, but with great power comes great responsibility, to quote an incredible movie. You know, to say that we are being visited by non-human intelligence, that's one thing. But then to say that we actually don't understand their technology and we don't understand their intentions, that leaves a very big window for speculation. And, you know, it could be classed as fear-mongering as well. So what do you make of it? I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on, first of all, Tim Galordet, because every time I make a video about this and I, use someone as a reference, they're like, can't be trusted, can't trust him. So I'd love to hear, first of all, what's the theory about Tim Galordet? Is he to be trusted? A viable source of information? And if he is, and what he's saying is true, what do you make of the information that's being put out there by Tim? Do you think that we, do you back his claims of, needing disclosure around this topic? Or do you think that we're better off not knowing and leaving it to people who are better equipped to handle this information? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. And while you're down there, be sure to jump to get the hell out of that like button, subscribe if you're new, and tickle my little bell so you get notified whenever we upload. And until next time, guys, I hope that you have enjoyed. I cannot wait to see you in the next one, and I'll speak to you later. Peace.